Hi everyone, welcome to episode 4 of my kind of a podcast. Today I decided to change the format a little bit, so I've not only changed the background but also I decided that I will be spending a little more time with editing this video, and I took the time to organize all my thoughts, and hopefully I will be able to convey everything that I would like to discuss without it being an hour-long video, because knowing myself, this is something that I really enjoy talking about. So hopefully I'm not going to wander around too much and stick to the script that I have prepared. So, in case you did not know, I am a proud Caribbean woman, and I love that part of me. I love that part of my identity. I am proud of my country, of where I'm from, and I love most everything about it. I love the music, I love the food, I love the culture, I love the carnival, I love the way that we party. I come from an island that could easily be mistaken for paradise. We have postcard landscapes, tropical weather, easygoing pace of life. Somehow it almost feels like hardships are more bearable when the sun is shining. It's not a perfect place to live by any means, but it comes with many advantages. A lot of people like myself choose to leave for whatever reason that is personal to them. There are probably more French Caribbean people and people of French Caribbean origins living abroad than there are actually living in the French Caribbean. This might become an issue somewhere down the line because the population is aging. There is an actual issue with the brain drain, and the birth rate is slowing down dangerously to the point where a lot of politicians have to warn everyone about the consequences of this happening, and about the fact that they need to put things in place to help people who wish to come back, or to prevent people from leaving as soon as they are finished studying, or to not come back when they are finished studying outside of the islands. That is definitely something that is an issue in the island, but there are also a lot of other people who choose to move there. Most of them are from Europe, and particularly from France, due to the main language spoken on the island, and also because of the administrative status of the French Caribbean, which does not qualify as expatriation for a French national, and is pretty much the same as just moving to another EU country for other European citizens. So it's kind of easy for somebody from Europe to move to the French Caribbean, because they don't have to consider as many issues with immigration as they would if they were to move in another country. There is a lot to be said about the behavior of such immigrants. There is a lot of racism, separationism, post-colonialist mentality, people behaving as if they own the place and are somehow above the non-white natives. But as much as there would be a lot to say about that, I want to talk about something different today. Many of the people who are not originally from the island do assimilate to a very large extent. They take on the accent, they mingle with the population, and they end up considering themselves very much as being from there. So these people are basically just a product of their environment. And their identity is actually genuine. So I do know people who were not born there. Their parents are coming from France, for example, but because that's where they grew up, they speak like everyone else, they dress like everyone else, they like the same things everyone else does, because they didn't stick to their own people, and they became a part of the general population. So it's very likely that these people have to code switch quite a lot when they are changing between their private family sphere and the public sphere, because their parents are not from there, so they cannot speak in Creole to their parents. But at the same time, I do know people, for example, who have a different accent when they talk to their parents on the phone and when they speak to me. Or when they are at home, they speak differently to where they are outside. But both of these side of the coin is the same person, and both of their identities are valid and genuine, and they are not doing it for self-preservation. They don't do it because they are afraid of being rejected. That comes natural to them. It's not something they had to learn to do. And these kind of people are extremely genuine in the expression of both of these cultures. But there are also some people who just want to own the Caribbean flavor, even when there is nothing that justifies that in their life story. Now we are kind of treading into cultural appropriation territory. We have people who just think that being from the islands is cool, and they just want some of that. It often manifests itself in a tendency to only have friends from the islands, only date Caribbean people, often going to Caribbean parties and clubs and taking on hobbies associated with the Caribbean, such as like drumming, like woka drumming or belly dancing and things like that. And there is nothing wrong with enjoying or appreciating another culture. However, it comes across as very strange to me when someone who has no connection to the Caribbean other than the person they are dating, for example, addresses me in Creole as if that is a normal part of their vocabulary. That is really something that I have encountered myself, and it's like, yeah, they just think that, yeah, the people of the islands are cool and they want to be like them. During my first pregnancy, I used to go online on forum boards to discuss topics with other expectant mothers. There was one thread that was dedicated to name ideas for mixed race children, with the justification that mixed race children are different and cannot carry first names that are too classic or too vanilla. You had moms coming to give the names of their exotic children to provide examples, stuff like cinnamon and cherry, jade, amber, and other names which were just that of black or mixed race celebrities, which I personally didn't understand. It's nothing groundbreaking by any stretch of the imagination, but they were very firm in their belief that their mixed race babies were different than other babies, which actually pissed me off to no end, because it only took a black man's dick to create their kid, not a magic wand or a crystal rod. So why did they need a specific type of name was completely beyond me. At the time, I wasn't very familiar with the concept of fetishization, but I can see now that this is, in many of the cases, that's what was happening, because they were all white mothers who believed that their mixed race child was different or special because of their dual ethnic heritage, which is complete bullshit. But that's still a mentality that we encounter a lot in this society that we live in. A lot of the time, men fetishize Asian women. A lot of the time, women fetishize black men. We think of black men as these sensual beings who radiate raw sexual energy, and they are strong and they will take you and bend you over and satisfy all your needs. And you know, we know about that trope of the very strong and well-endowed black man. I am not telling you about something new or unknown, but we will talk more about that a bit later. When you think about Barack Obama, do you think so many women would be swooning over him and making comments about how he vibed with Michelle and how cool he was, how handsome he was, if he was not a black man? What about the women who were competing in the many seasons of Flavor of Love and competing for an objectively unattractive man such as Flavor Flav? Can you imagine a white man version of Flavor of Love with an ugly white man? Or even an ugly Asian man? I am not sure that this would fly. So right now what we are really talking about is fetishization and mythification of blackness, where some people want to gain blackness by association or just simply appropriate it and make it their own. This is how we end up with examples of blackfishing or Ariana Grande, who went from looking like an olive-skinned white girl to someone we could easily mistake for being mixed race. People take over the way black people talk because it's cool. Like when I was living in London, all the kids were using lots of Jamaican patois terms and expressions. Even their accent was far from Cockney and more akin to that of a Caribbean person. The Jamaican dancehall queen for a while was a Japanese woman. There are loads of people in Asia who get dreadlocks and dress like in R&B videos from BET because they think it's cool. There is also a bit of an issue with blackface in Asia, but I'm not going to go there today, not just because I am not really equipped to talk about this, but also because there's so much to say. It could go on for a very long time. So we're not going to get into that. At this point, hip hop is basically pop music by now. Miley Cyrus broke out of the Disney mold by twerking, and even Justin Bieber had an Afrobeats inspired song. This is not happening by chance. Blackness is an aesthetic that has now become cool, and particularly if you're not black. I listen to a lot of Afrobeats and African artists, and many of them make music that sounds a lot like dancehall, which is a style of music from Jamaica. Some of them even actually sing in Jamaican patois, even though they have a native language of their own, which is also something that happens back on my French Caribbean island. Many artists sing in Jamaican patois more in their own native Creole, and sometimes it makes me feel like there is some sort of hierarchy of coolness even within ourselves, black people, Caribbean people. Why is Rihanna singing in Jamaican patois instead of Bajan? She's a prawn Bajan, isn't she? Is it because she's not the one writing her songs? Why do so many people back on my island have to steal the language or behavior they associate with Jamaican people through the music that they listen to? Don't we have a strong and vibrant culture of our own? I was actually really pleased to see Kalash singing in Creole at the BET Hip Hop Awards, because I think we are proud people with a strong culture and roots that go deep, even though our history has a bit of ocean in between. We do not need to behave like those people who want to be like us. I do not particularly like the stereotypes of coolness that are associated with blackness. The whole idea that we are oversexed party animals was created as a way to dehumanize us. Way back in the days of slavery, we were made to look like we were childlike, irresponsible, lazy, only concerned with the frivolous side of life, as a way to justify the reasons why we needed to be kept as slaves and why we were beneath the intellectual, hard-working whites. I do wish we would do away with these stereotypes completely, but it makes my blood boil when I see that these same traits, when they are stolen from us by people of other races, are associated with being cool, being hip, being in with the times. They want to be us because they know they can revert back to being themselves when it's no longer convenient. We're not afforded this luxury. And this is the reason why I think we need to fight back and to talk about it when we see it happening. When we see people making comments like the ladies on the pregnancy forum boards, fetishizing black people like they are special and different, or their mixed children like they are special and different. These things hurt us in the long run. If we let our cultures being taken over by other people and they get praised for it and we still get discriminated against because of it, that is something that needs to be talked about. That is something that we need to educate people about. Personally, I do not like to talk about racism with people of other ethnic origins because I find it really hard to make them relate to me and to my experiences. It's something that really annoys me because I always find that I have to go into a long conversation and give a lot of background information just so I can put my point across. Because that's the thing, we do not experience life in the same way on both sides of the conversation, so we come with prejudice. That is something that can become a problem and that can break friendships. As much as I would like for everyone to get along, for all of us to be friends, and for everything to be perfect, this is not going to happen without a little bit of conflict, unfortunately. And I'm not saying that you should, at every given opportunity, fight against people who are making those kind of comments, but at least, try not to let it slide and try not to just ignore it. If you have the chance to open the eyes of somebody to a reality that they are not actually aware of, you are doing a little bit to change the world. Maybe think about the butterfly effect. So that's all I wanted to talk to you about today. I am hoping to do something completely different next week. Hopefully my plan is going to realize I will be able to show you a different side of me, which is something that I don't have a lot of opportunities to disclose. So hopefully I don't chicken out and I go ahead with the plan and I do what I have decided to do. But I will certainly be back next week with another video talking about something completely different. And because this is now actually the first video of the year, wish you a very happy new year, happy 2020, and you already know what goes after that. You've probably received 100 text messages telling you the same things, so you don't need to hear it from me as well. So I'll see you next week. Bye. Soon.